Today we're going to talk about something that's super crucial in this market. As you know, we've been in a shifting market. We're going to talk about how important it is to properly price a listing.
Yeah, it has gotten super critical in a shifting market. It's gotten a lot more complicated.
Yeah. What were you saying earlier?
Well, I love this Wayne Gretzky quote. When they asked him about how he was always at the puck, he said, I don't skate to the puck, I skate to where the puck is going to be. And he did pretty well with that. So that really is a good analogy for the way we have to price a home right now as the market is shifting.
Yeah, I would agree. So we're going to talk a little bit about days on market and how that plays against sellers right now. It's even more crucial than ever not to let a listing get too stale, because every buyer out there is watching it like a vulture, just waiting to see if that number gets high so they can swoop in with a lowball offer.
Yeah, and days on market, we just weren't even thinking about it, prior to say May of this year, because it just was kind of like 2 days. It was always 2 days, unless the house was a real problem or priced really wrong. As you said, it was really forgiving.
Super forgiving. You could be way off the mark, and that made a lot of rookie agents look like rock stars. Right. They didn't have to be right on the money to get it right.
Rookie listing agents. The challenge up until May was to be a buyer's agent and get your client under contract. It was really hard when there were 10 or 15 offers. That has shifted as well. The expertise that you need is now sort of on both sides. And so right now, I think our days on market are 20 something, but that number is a little deceiving, which we'll talk about in a second. The key though is when we do a listing consult, we're still creating our marketing plan and strategy and our pricing to sell the first weekend, even though we're pretty sure, well, statistics say it may not.
It may not.
But we still have to have that as a goal. And the reason is because, boy, every week that goes by, the likelihood of you getting your asking price goes down.
Yeah.
And we know, because we're also buyer's agents, if we go and look at a house that's been on the market for 4 weeks, what are we going to tell our client?
They're starting to get desperate. It's been on for a while and you're ripe for a low offer.
Yeah, it's really that you're ripe for a low offer. And I'm also, in when it was a really crazy seller's market, you wouldn't offer $50,000 under asking.
You wouldn't think of it.
You wouldn't even think about it. And now it's common.
Yeah. And in fact, we had plenty of listings that went 50 to 100K over the asking,
right.
And people brought extra money. They brought the required down payment plus the extra 50 grand to make sure they covered the appraisal gap. Mm-hmm. That was par for the course up until 6 months ago. And it had been for 2 years.
So I think what we're seeing now, and this is what I meant by the 20 something days on market is a little deceiving. If you have really great finishes or a really great deal, you're still going to sell it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But the time has passed for a 7 to sell. 7 on a scale of 1 to 10. It's not going to sell the first weekend anymore.
No, this market has gotten to a point where everything's got to be really tip top. You have very little margin for error. You got to get it right the first time and have it right out of the gate. You don't have the luxury of correction a few weeks in. Or you can do it, but it'll cost you quite a bit of money because the market's going to fall out from under you while you take your time to do those things.
And we're going to talk about that, skating to where the puck is, and pricing sort of ahead of the curve a little bit. I have a listing coming up soon that's going to be in the 5s, which is a really hot price point. It's a nice family neighborhood, and my client had me over to say, the typical listing consult, what do you think we need to do? And I said, I think the carpet needs to be replaced. And they said, we were thinking we'd steam clean it. And I said, not right now.
Not in this market.
No, up until May of last year, if you had a house in the 5s, would have gotten $50,000 over.
With dirty carpet.
With dirty carpet, yeah. And it was, two things. Buyers being sort of desperate because there were so many buyers and such small inventory. But it was also their buying power.
Yeah. Everybody wanted to use that dirt cheap money before it went away.
Yeah. So they knew that they wanted to get into something, and if they had to pay $50,000 or $75,000 over and buy new carpet as soon as they moved in, they were less worried about it because they were borrowing money at 3%. Now, when your mortgage payment is $1,000 more than you were hoping it was going to be, you're going to be a lot more picky, and you can be.
You can be, yeah. You have the luxury of time on your side and the luxury of choice on your side.
Yeah.
Things aren't disappearing before you can get back to think about it. You actually have a little bit of time to mill it over and make sure it's a good decision, and people just didn't have that luxury 6-7 months ago.
Right.
So we explained why days on market is so important. We're going to show you now a visual representation of it. This is brought to us by Ninja Selling.
Yeah, Ninja Selling is kind of an elite training for if you really want to be good at taking care of your clients, and they teach. It's called Ninja Selling, but they teach us how not to sell.
Not to sell.
Yeah.
It's all about taking care of the clients, preserving the client's value, and getting
we don't want that lost value.
Yeah, we're trying to protect from the lost value. For sake of conversation, we're in a market that is dropping as the weeks go by. You're chasing the drop, but you're simply not chasing it. It's outpacing your drops, and as this graphically represents, it shows if you would have just started a little bit better right there, you would have avoided all of this drop and sold right there. So it just really makes a good representation of why you want to get that price right off the bat, rather than starting too high and then futilely chasing the market. Why don't we look at the other graph that demonstrates that? Sawyer, can you put up the graph that shows the pricing pond?
So here's new inventory coming into the pond, and this is taken right from your high school science class. That the flow of water in a pond is the top. Down here is a stagnant mass. Now, as we apply it to homes, these are the ones that are just not being considered. We're not even getting showings.
Yeah.
And by the way, my $905,000 listing
was getting showings.
I had 20 showings, I think, over 6 weeks. That's enough.
Sure.
And no offers until we kept reducing. The flow state, that's where you want to be. That's where inventory comes in, people book showings, and offers get made. And we got to the point after 8 weeks where if somebody had offered us $100,000 under, we wouldn't have taken it, but we would have been like ecstatic.
Sure.
So since
you would have engaged them,
we wouldn't
have blown them off.
Yeah, we would have countered and hoped for a lot more. But
so the goal is, in short, you don't want to end up getting showings and no offers, and you certainly don't want to end up stagnant. It just demonstrates that you've got to be right on the money with that pricing.
Exactly.
It just backs up that other graph, so you can definitely be just a tiny bit off and getting action, but not the kind of action that leads to a closing table.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things that we talk about is pricing on the bridge, and I actually always call it pricing at the century, which sounds like years. I mean $100,000 increment. If you look at a lot of the online portals for searching for homes, Redfin, Zillow, things like that, a lot of them, when you do the price range, it's a pull-down menu. And Zillow, for instance, is $25,000 increments up to $500,000, and then after that, it's $50,000 increments. So here's where that can get tricky, and why we really believe in 0000, not 95 or 99. Because if you've decided your price range is 6 to 800, which is a pretty common thing for people to look at around here, if you price it at 805, they're going to miss it. If the house turns out to be, everything that we do with our professional process, if it comes out that it's going to be an $812,000 value, maybe you need to be at 815 or something like that. But you're smarter being at 800.
Yeah, and it can work on the opposite end too. You said if you're pricing from 6 to 800, the house that was priced at 595, even though that sounds like a better price, you may miss the people that had their search set from 6 to 8.
Exactly.
So being on a 9.5 increment or an 05 increment is always risky, just based on the way the drop-down menus are structured on most of the search portals.
Right.
So you want to make sure you don't fall into that trap.
And that's why you won't see too many of our listings at 99 or 95 or 05.
So I think you said Zillow earlier. I think you meant Redfin. Redfin has the 25 to 50K increments. Zillow, Trulia, owned by the same company, they've got a min-max bump now.
But when you go into Zillow, where you have to type it in yourself, you're probably going to write 600 to 700.
Exactly.
You're probably not going to say anywhere from 593 to 700.
Well, and don't forget there are thousands, tens of thousands of single agent and brokerage sites. All the RealGeek sites, all the Boomtown sites, all the
Real Scout,
Real Estate Webmasters. I mean, how many tens of thousands of single agent sites are out there? And I know for a fact my Real Scout site and I believe my Boomtown site both still have drop downs that go in 50 or 100K increments depending on the price range you're in. So it's crucial. There's still enough sites out there that you don't want to make the mistake of putting that weird oddball price that puts you just outside of the range that they serve.
Totally.
Absolutely, and that's a good point in this market. If you're representing a buyer, you probably should stretch the range just a little bit for your buyers, because there is the opportunity to come in low and actually get some traction. I actually got just yesterday $25,000 off of a Lennar home, a brand new build, and I'd never seen Lennar come off more than $5,000 in probably the last 5 years.
And so it's interesting how this has come full circle. I have clients in their 60s who set their own parameters higher than what they want to spend, thinking, well, maybe we can get it to come down. And until May of this year, I said, that's a bad idea. If your max is 750, you should probably look at 700.
700, yeah.
Because you're going to have to go 50 or 100 over. Now, it actually makes sense, you know.
Yeah, funny how fast things like that change, huh?
Yeah. And that brings up a great point, in the word shifting. We need to be able to be nimble. We need to have the experience for what that market looks like and what the dynamic is. And we need to be able to pivot for our clients and give them the right guidance.
So in this market, it's become more important than ever now to have a super experienced agent on your side, especially when you're listing a home.
Yeah, it's interesting. We are down on transactions compared to last year, and yet I'm pretty busy.
Yeah.
Which is, it's really validating. And what also is validating, and I hate to enjoy somebody else's misery, but Zillow lost $880 million in 2021 on their flipping business. So they've decided to become an iBuyer and go out and purchase homes, and they lost almost $1 billion. And as they announced that and laid off a lot of people, their chief executive said, it turns out algorithms are not a replacement
for a seasoned agent.
Yeah. And of course, all of us seasoned agents said, we've been saying that all along, you know, and whenever one of our clients, I mean, there's a joke, whenever a client says, but this estimate is somewhere a realtor loses his wings or something like that. But yeah, it's like scratching on a blackboard to us going, oh, this estimate, huh? Mm-hmm. And so finally, at the end of 21, we got to say, how'd that work out for you?
How'd that work out for you?
Redfin is now laying off about 15% of their workforce, I think. And it's because, what was that thing you said, in a booming market?
Booming market, you can get away with an inexperienced agent because they don't have to be right on the money. If they were a little bit off, if they overpriced it by 15, 20 grand, it didn't matter. The market was appreciating so fast. There was such limited inventory. There was a lot more room for error. You could be a lot sloppier and still get away with it and nobody noticed it. But now, not in this market. Everything has changed and gotten super, super crucial that you get it right on the money, just like the chart showed. So we're coming back into a point in time now where experience counts again.
Yeah.
Right, thanks for tuning in. If you're interested in buying or selling a house here anywhere in the Denver Metroplex, please look Bill or myself up. Our info is shown in the bio below. Feel free to give us a call, and we're happy to come help you out on either buying or selling a home in the Denver area.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks again.